Oh, cool. All right, guys, welcome to Reza Riffs. This meeting's being recorded. How's the new Zoom lady? That's cool. Alan Lee will not be here. For the folks at home, I think Alan's probably going to be done for the season. He's still part of the show, just his schedule is just not working out with mine, and the show must go on. He might appear on one of them, but as of right now, it looks like he's done for the season. But I'm still here, and it's Reza Riffs. That's all that matters. Dun, dun, dun. Okay. Couple things. I have a few shows. July 3rd, I'll be at the Rec Room with the Pablo Francisco. You can get tickets at www.recroomhb.com. Let's sell it out. Let's buy your tickets now. Let's tell a friend. Buy those tickets. I'll also be at the Rec Room on August 7th with Dad Fam. Tickets will be on sale shortly. Same website. But if we sell out those shows and they add a second show, maybe we could add a third show and do a Reza Riffs live, which Alan Lee would obviously be because he'll be there because it's 11 o'clock on a Saturday. It's not like he has work on Sunday. Anyways, moving on. I'm also on Cameo. You could book me on Cameo. They have this whole 24 hours where your Cameo's free thing. I only charge $5. I was thinking once I hit like 100 cameos, maybe I could raise it up. But I'm at 5-star reviews, baby. What's up? Anyways, my stand-up special is also out. Keith Reza, Make It Happen. For those who've seen it, thank you. Keep watching it. Keep telling people to watch it. It's one of my favorite things I've ever done besides this podcast. I'm very, very proud of it. I'm sure we'll talk about that tonight with our guest, who's a big fan of it, I think. I hope. Anyways, we got a great show. Oh, yeah, follow us on social media at Reza Rips. Subscribe, rate, review, tell a friend. We got a great show today. Our guest is the great Norm Leonard. Leonard or Leonard. It's Leonard, I think. Norm is my screenwriting teacher. I will not say where he teaches, mostly to respect the privacy of me. But he's my screenwriting teacher. He's honestly, he's one of my best friends. He's one of my best friends. Yeah. And I talk to him on the social, and I really enjoy hanging out with him and learning his wisdom. We'll see if he feels the same way, but right now I'm leaning towards yes, he does. Anyways, he's a writer. He has a documentary called Keeping the Promise, which is about AIDS, the Healthcare Foundation, which we'll talk about. He's also written a show called The Nickel, Drugs, The Mortuary, The Voice Inside, Chinese Takeout. But he's on here today to talk and promote about his podcast that he created. He narrates it. He made it for his children. It's called Cobbler's Gulch. Subscribe, rate, review on Apple Podcast. It's a storytelling podcast, and it's pretty cool. I've listened to a few episodes, and if you're like me, I gotta listen to a podcast that keeps my interest, and this is a very interesting podcast, and it all connects. Each episode is maybe about 10. I think the longest one I listened to was maybe 16, 17 minutes. But they're short and sweet, and they get to the point. So subscribe, rate, and review to Cobbler's Culch, and we'll be right back to talk to the writer and the creator of Cobbler's Culch, the great Norm Leonard.
You're listening to Reza Riffs with Keith Reza and Alan Lee, right here on LA Talk Radio.
What's up, Norm? Hey, are you there? I can't hear you. Can you hear me? Do a thumbs up. I can't hear you, no. Oh, he's connecting to his audio. Okay, excellent. Fantastic. This is awkward. This meeting has started. For the folks at home, don't worry. Norm Leonard is here. He's just not connected vocally. He shaved his beard, though. Are you there? Just to make sure it's not me, can you do me a thumbs up to see if you could hear me? Okay, we're going to pause this for a second. Oh, he left. Wait, Norm, are you there?
There we go. Can you hear me now?
I can. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing good. That was awesome. Like, I didn't know if you could hear me. I thought I was talking to myself.
Sorry, this is my wife's computer. I normally am outside, but it's dark and getting cold, so.
Wow.
So her settings are all wonky because I don't know because they are.
She doesn't do a lot of Zoom meetings then, huh?
She does. I don't know what her thing is, but yeah, she does.
Well, you just screwed up her settings, so kudos to that.
she'll make it work. How you been, Keith? It's good to see you.
It's good to see you, man. I gave you a great intro, and I'm not gonna say like where I go to school, but I did say you're my screenwriting teacher.
Oh, okay.
And I miss you very much.
Likewise,
and
yeah.
I was telling the folks that I consider you one of my best friends.
Thank you very much. I've never had anyone like a student say something like that. That's really nice. And also, it feels weird to say student. Like, I don't feel like we have like a teacher-student relationship, really. It's more like I teach this class and you just happen to be one of the friends that take it.
Yeah, every single year.
Yeah. Well, I guess you don't like the remote thing though, right?
No, I can't do it because it's not that I don't enjoy reading other people's scripts. It's just like with I can't follow along unless other people are reading it, and it's like the remote thing's kind of like you know what I mean?
We have started doing it kind of the way we did it in class, where we read the scripts. We do cold reads, but we just do it on Zoom instead of just reading. You know what I mean? So we have started doing that, and it's working okay.
Oh, cool. Do you think that it'll be back to in class? Because I want to go back to in class.
Not this fall, but I think probably spring.
Cool.
What they tell me.
I have some good ideas for spring.
Yeah, you gonna pitch any?
No. You know what it is like I'm gonna be 100% honest with you. During this pandemic, and this is probably like a real lazy quality of mine, but I just haven't had the inspiration to write. How about you?
It's been harder. I mean, the pandemic at first, when for like a lot of people who are more like probably creative and maybe introverted, I was like, this is amazing. I get to stay home all day and not talk to people, and thought it was great. And then after a while, I think I noticed that like creatively, productively, I do need to bump up against people a lot more in order to kind of keep that line. So I'm kind of with you. I wasn't as productive as I normally am. I was lucky in so much as I'd written stuff that I was able to make a podcast out of. So that's kept me busy, but not in the same way. You know what I mean? Like if you're writing, it's a different sort of muscle.
Yeah.
Like adapting it to podcast is different.
And that's why you're here. You're here to talk about the great Cobbler's Colch.
Yeah, it's going well.
Yeah.
Thanks. And by the way, thanks again for having me. This is really fun.
Of course, man. I've been trying to get you on. I usually have a co-host, but he's been dealing with like some family issues. So he's kind of like, he bowed out the rest of the season.
He's also a comedian, right?
Yeah. The great Alan Lee, the one and only.
And what have you guys been doing since there's no stage time lately?
Oh, dude, like I've only done like 6 shows in the past year and a half. So I've been like very depressed. You know what I mean?
I totally get that. I mean, there's a big, even like I'm not a comedian like you are, but there's definitely a hit you get, like a really positive bump you get from performing and from being in front of people and getting that like instant feedback in the room. Like not getting that, I would imagine is tough.
I think comedy is better than sex. You know, like, and I love sex for any ladies listening, or guys too, but whatever. But like, like comedy is like, you know what I mean? Like I used to do it. There's 7 days in a week. I used to do 10 shows in a week, you know? And now I'm I'm still great at comedy, but like nothing's opening, you know?
Yeah. I mean, it started slowly to come alive, right? Like I've noticed that they're doing some shows, but it's still not the same probably, right? They're all.
I think national headliners are, because like I usually tour with Norm, has the same name as you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that about it.
I usually tour with Norm and Jay Moore, and Norm's not doing it right now because he's all scared, but Jay can't bring anyone out because they're not paying as much. They're only paying like a certain amount for a headliner. That's it, you know? So
yeah, that makes sense.
It kind of fucks guys like me up, you know?
You gotta turn yourself into a headliner, right?
Yeah, I know. I have a special, just no one fucking likes it.
Wait, is it no one likes it, or is it you're having a hard time getting it out there?
I think both. I don't know. Like, Netflix said that they can't put it up because it wasn't filmed in 10K, and I didn't know what 10K was.
It's like a quality video, right?
Yeah. So it was filmed in 5K, and I thought like they wanted like you spend $10,000 to make it, and I don't know. I don't have 10,000.
Well, I mean, that's something that's easily fixable, though, right? As soon as the pandemic's over, right? You can shoot a new special.
Yeah.
Throw together an hour. It should take no time at all.
Yeah. I mean, it'll take me a year to practice, you know, because it has to be new stuff, you know. But I don't know, man. But like, but yeah, how are you? I mean, we saw each other once during this pandemic, and that was over probably one of the worst things I've ever done. The Zoom,
the Zoom reading of
Meet the Parents.
Yeah. There were some connectivity issues, if I recall. It was a little bit choppy.
Yeah, like I thought it would be all fun and stuff, but then like everyone's all like not paying attention. I was like, I said it was the full script.
Yeah, you know, those things are hard to make work in the best of circumstances. But it was fun.
Yeah. I wanted to do this movie called Pushing 10. Did you see it? With John
Cusack and Billy Bob Thornton, Angelina Jolie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
I wanted to do the Zoom read through of Pushing 10 because I interviewed Kurt Fuller and Vicki Lewis, and they were both in it. Yeah. And I was like, hey, if I could get John Cusack, right, we could have a cool read through. But All three of them said no.
When I first started writing, I had a script. It was like this noir thriller, and it had gotten sent to John Cusack's production company. Like a friend of a friend. I don't know how it happened. I don't even know if it really happened. I just was told that John Cusack's production company has your script. The assistant liked it, and they're moving it. And I was like, and it was the first thing that anything like that kind of happened for me. And I told my mom, and I was like, Mom, I have a script, and it went to John Cusack's production company. It's pretty exciting. That's all I said.
Yeah.
And then I went to visit her. She worked at a school district, and I went there, and like all of her friends at work were like, we hear you're starring in a movie with John Cusack. That's amazing.
But that's still pretty cool because, I mean, as you know, John Cusack's my favorite actor, and I have a huge gay obsession with him.
Really? High Fidelity is my favorite John Cusack movie.
Yeah, I love that one too.
Yeah.
But
What's your favorite?
My favorite Cusack movie, it's probably one that no one's ever heard of because he's kind of like Nicolas Cage now. He just does bad movies, you know? But it was called The Bag Man.
Was it what genre was it?
It was like a crime thing. Robert De Niro was in it for like 18 seconds.
Uh-huh.
And, yeah. He plays a hitman who has to like watch a bag for like $1 million or whatever. And Robert De Niro's like the bad guy. And he's in a motel, and then like everyone wants this bag or something. So Cusack was great. The story, but you know.
Why is it your favorite if the story's not that good?
Because I don't know, it's just cool seeing John Cusack kick ass. You know what I mean?
He apparently can really kick ass too.
Yeah, he's a kickboxer.
Yeah, apparently he's pretty tough. Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of those scenes in Gross Point Blank were apparently him and some guy he trained with a bunch. I forget the guy's name. Some guy who's like,
he's like Eddie Lizard or something. He's like, fuck, I forgot his name. But I was thinking maybe I could get him on the podcast because if I got him, I'd say, hey, can you tell a good old Johnny to do Razor Riffs?
It was here it is. It's Benny the Jet. Benny
the Jet. Yeah, the Jet.
Yeah, he's the bad guy in Gross Point Blank.
You know, we should probably start soon, huh?
Have we not started?
No, we were. I'm joking. But I opened up for Jeremy Piven a couple weeks ago, and he didn't like any of my John Cusack jokes.
Wait, are you just messing with me, or is this true?
I'm dead serious. I was like, so I don't mean to brag, but I'm like the John Cusack of stand-up comedy. I just say anything, and like the crowd like laughed, right? And I was like, sometimes it goes well, and then sometimes I wish I was better off dead. Crowd laughs again, you know. And then I was like, and now I'm opening up for Jeremy Piven. That's what you call serendipity. Crowd laughs again, because that fucker was in Serendipity. You know what I mean? He was in that movie, and he didn't like me. And I was like, dude. He's like, I didn't like that Serendipity joke. I was like, well, then you're the one who did the fucking movie.
Where did you open for him? That's hilarious.
It was on the PCH, the sea legs at the beach.
That's so funny. I like that you were giving shit to Jeremy Piven. That's hilarious.
Yeah, well, because he used to be John Cusack's best friend. I guess they had like a huge falling out.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I'm Team Cusack, so who cares about?
Did you ever see Very Bad Things?
Yeah, Jeremy Piven was great in that, but Daniel Stern was better.
That whole movie, I can't believe it ever got made. It would never get made today.
Oh yeah, because of the stripper dying.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
You ever notice, like, she was a hot stripper? You know what I mean? Like,
I think that was in the script, yeah.
Yeah, her name was, I think I remember her name. Her name was Kobe something. It was, she was like a huge Japanese porn star.
Oh, really? I don't remember. I remember that scene where she dies just because it was so creepy with she got like spiked in the back of the head. But you know what's funny is my thesis advisor at Chapman, where I went to do my MFA in screenwriting, was a producer on that movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Michael Schiffer. Yeah, he
Oh,
produced it. He also wrote. He's a super nice guy. He wrote Crimson Tide, and he wrote Colors.
oh, I've heard of Colors.
Yeah, Colors was with Sean Penn and Robert Duvall. Yeah.
Wasn't Tom Cruise in that too?
No,
Or
no.
that was Taps.
Out the Outsiders. You think of The Outsiders?
Maybe. Tom Cruise. I remember before Tom Cruise became Tom Cruise, he was like a guy who was only in a movie for like 15 minutes. Like the first
Yeah.
5 movies of his career.
Yeah, that's a lot of people though, right?
So enough BSing around. What tell the folks about Goldber's
Cobbler's Gulch.
Cobbler's Gulch, yeah. Like
yeah, so
how do you get inspired to write this? Because there's so far 30 episodes.
30, yeah, and for this season there's another. That'll be another 22. It'll be like 52 total.
Whoa.
Yeah. So when my wife and I had our daughter, after she was like 2 years old, I love The Wizard of Oz. And so I showed my daughter The Wizard of Oz when she was 2, and my wife was like, maybe it's a little early. And I was like, let's just like roll the dice. And so I showed it to her and it scared the shit out of her.
The original or the ones with James Franco?
The original.
Oh,
like
okay. Excellent.
The witch scene really freaked her out.
Okay.
Because she was 2, and so she wasn't sleeping, and my wife's like, you know, this was your call, so you better fix this. So I wrote her this little nursery rhyme kind of thing that went pixie dust. Wait a minute, how did it go? Pixie dust, a summer's day, a rag doll with a crooked stitch. Listen closely when I say, be gone, you silly witch. So she would say that whenever she felt scared of witches. She would say that, she would feel better, and she'd go to sleep. But what was funny about it is we had this neighbor who was she was like this always cranky old woman. She was just always had, normally I'd say resting bitch face, but my wife says that there's no such thing as resting bitch face. You're just a bitch. Yeah. This woman had resting bitch face. She was just mean and nasty. And my daughter would always say that little rhyme at her. And the lady like, what did she say? And like, she thinks you're a witch, so she's trying to keep you away.
Yeah.
But anyhow, that became like a little mythology that we created, me and my daughter. And so and my son, as he got a little older, started just playing like improv games. Like I would ask them a question like, if you were a witch, who would you hire? And they would say goblins. And like, well, how would you pay the goblins? And they would say fairy dust. And so,
that's pretty good.
Yeah, and so they have these little tiny details that I wove into.
I was going to say matches.
Matches? Why?
I don't know, because I have a broom.
I like it. But those are like some of the answers my kids gave a few times. So it became this like whole mythology that I wrote into a book, and then I tried to publish it a few times, and I just got tired of dealing with publishers and agents and rejections, and my wife thought I should turn it into a podcast. And so I wanted to do a podcast, but have you ever listened to podcasts for kids? I don't know if you have. Like most of them are terrible. At least the ones I've heard. They're just boring. And I wanted to make something that would be fun for kids and for the adults too. So I brought in music and lots of sound effects. You'll like this. I put out a casting notice on Voice 123.
Okay.
And I said, I need actors to do this adventure fantasy podcast for kids. I got nothing, crickets. And then I was thinking about it, and I've done casting notices before, and it's like, you have to sell the story in the casting notice, and I wasn't doing that. So I rewrote the casting notice, and it said, if you have no problem scaring the shit out of children, I would like you for a fantasy adventure podcast. And then I got tons of people submitting all kinds of auditions.
Oh,
so I got all these great voice actors from all over the country, and COVID had just started, and they were tired of doing like COVID PSAs and Cialis commercials. So they all came on board, and yeah, I've all these
Wow.
people who are really great voice actors. I've never even met them in person. But it's cool.
Wow.
They've
I-
jumped on the podcast.
How come I didn't get an email? I would have done it.
We can still have you on. There's 22
Let's-
episodes, 22 episodes to go.
Yeah. I'm pretty scary. I scare kids all the time. Like one Halloween, I was like, give me your candy or I'm going to cut you.
Yeah. I don't know how that'll go over in 2021.
Yeah. Now it won't work. But, yeah.
You're going to have a red dot next to your name on the internet. If you're not careful.
Yeah, that inspiration was made for Scary Movie, you know. But yeah, so how are you like enjoying it, like with the podcasting, like because you're not really talking to an audience, you're telling an audience a story.
Yeah, it's fun. Like the one thing, when I do get to be in front of an audience and I don't want to say perform, but when I get to do like live readings and I get to do things like that, or make, when I'm making short films or whatever, and they go up for an audience, that's the best. I love that. This is like a nice close second. The one thing I really enjoy about this is like, I don't have to ask anybody's permission.
Yeah.
So like every time I've written a script, even in the best case scenario, I'm having to collaborate, and that can be good, but you're always compromising. Like whether you're compromising with somebody else's like idea of how something should land, like a joke or a line or whatever, you're always compromising. And this, I mean, I get to work with really cool voice actors, but mostly I get to call the shots. I don't have to ask any permission. I don't have to, it's pretty cheap to produce. So all that's great. Like, and I can do whatever I want. So like if I was going to do a fantasy adventure for kids and it was going to be on film or as a TV show, it would cost hundreds of millions of dollars. I've done it for a couple $100.
Yeah.
Which is great.
I've listened to like I'm only on episode like 17 or 18, but the way when I listen to it, like I could see it being like a kids TV show, like an R.L. Stein type of like a book thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I would love that. I mean, that would be really fun. And we could bring you in as an actor, right?
Yeah, definitely. And I'll do it for free because I love you. You're one of my best friends.
Who would you want to play?
Whatever you want. I could be yeah. I could even recast whoever, you know what I mean? I could be Did you know Michael J. Fox got recasted in Teen Wolf for Jason Bateman? Like
he also replaced, gosh, who was it? Somebody in Back to the Future got replaced. I forget who it was.
Yeah, but you gotta think like if you're Michael J. Fox and you did Teen Wolf, which one, the movie's not that great, but I mean it's kind of like, started his stardom. And then they're like, you know what? We don't want you. We want Jason Bateman.
So I don't want to sound like I'm name dropping here, but when I was in grad school at Chapman, really nice guy named Mark Arnold was in our thesis film. Super nice guy, great actor, and he played a pawnbroker in this film we made. He was the bad guy. He was the villain in Teen Wolf.
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
Was he Styles or whatever his name is?
No, it wasn't Styles. But Styles was like his buddy, right?
Oh yeah, it was. I haven't seen it in a long time.
I know, it's been a while. He was Mick. He was the bad. I don't know. He was the bad guy. You'd know him as soon as you saw him.
Yeah, he was dating the hot chick, right? The blonde chick.
I think so. Yeah. He was one of those guys, like, was an actor who's been just doing it forever, and was just the coolest, friendliest, most professional guy.
Well, see, like one of my dreams is to be an actor, but the thing is, like, the older I got, I started not to fall in love with acting anymore because I like used to like be into huge, like, I want to do movies and stuff, but now I just want to do stand up, and I want someone to offer me something just based on my stand up. You know what I mean?
You want to have to not audition, basically.
Well, yeah, because, I mean, if I'm being honest, like, there's no way I could compete with good looking guys who are actors. You know what I mean?
I mean, yeah, I mean, no one competes with like Brad Pitt but like, I feel like there's so many different roles now. Like, who are you competing with? Just be yourself. You know what I mean? I feel like there's plenty of roles that would be great for you.
Well, I mean, because you see me read in class and stuff. You know, there's some parts that I do very well. That not trying to say I'm the best actor in class, but I do them very well. And then there's some parts I just suck at.
You know what's funny too, though? I've done lots. I mean, obviously in script writing workshops, I do a lot of those live readings. But in casting and in like script readings for features where we were trying to get like funding, we've done like live readings in front of financiers and stuff. And there's guys who are like great actors, like on screen. You see them and they're amazing. But like they'll read a script in front of a live audience and they stumble and stutter, and it's not part of the character. They just like can't read live. It's so. Yeah. Like whenever we're doing that, like some people have a knack for it and some don't. I think you're particularly good in everything we've done, but I would never assume that somebody couldn't act just because they didn't get it right, like on a live reading or something. You know what I mean? I feel like that's like a different kind of skill.
Well, you know what? One of the things that, and I think it's also like a stand-up quality that I learned through stand-up is like if I mess up, instead of saying like, fuck, sorry, I'm just gonna mess up and continue. You know what I mean?
Yeah, just roll with it.
Yeah, and just be like, oh, I didn't mess up. You know what I mean? Even though I know I did.
Yeah. You know, it's funny that I feel like that's key to a lot of things. Like most of the things that I've written that I've really enjoyed, I'll be like just writing and I think I know where it's going. But then I take like a hard left turn and just kind of roll with it. And then it opens up something in a different way.
Yeah.
I feel like you get that across all kinds of things. Like you said, stand up, writing, but also like sports, like some of the most fun sports to watch. The most fun sport to watch, you know, our Los Angeles Lakers, God bless them.
They got killed by the Suns yesterday.
It's early.
I still hope they lose.
The Lakers lose or the Suns lose?
The Lakers. I chose in my fantasy league. I chose the Suns, and I also chose the Nets, even though I want the Knicks to win. But I don't think the Knicks can beat the Nets.
I don't think so either.
You know,
you're not. I thought you were a Laker fan.
No. I mean, I used to be when they had Eddie Jones and Dennis Rodman. But I felt very betrayed by the Lakers because they actually traded Eddie Jones the day I was diagnosed with Asperger's. It was March 10th, 1999, and I remember I was crying. And my dad's like, "Oh, don't worry, it's just autism and stuff." And here's the thing. We had tickets to go see Eddie because, you know, we're like a pretty poor family. We had tickets to go see Eddie Jones and the Lakers in April against the Warriors, right? And they were like at the Forum. It was like shitty seats, but still we could see Eddie Jones. Well, they traded him. So the game in April that we went to just wasn't fun.
Was that team was the one with Nick Van Exel, Eddie Jones?
Yeah. But they traded Van Exel before that game too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, that takes it back.
Yeah. So when the Lakers started to win the championships, I was kind of over them because it's like, you know what, you guys fucking screwed Eddie Jones.
Yeah, I get it. It's easy to get attached to players like that for sure.
And now I'm attached to James Harden.
Oh no, really?
Yeah, he has a cool beard.
You can keep that guy.
Yeah. I like Julius Randle though.
I like Julius Randle a lot.
Yeah. Sucked last night though.
Yeah. Wait, the Knicks are playing.
They're playing the Hawks, and they should win that. But
Trae Young took it to him in that last play.
That was a great shot, dude.
Trae Young's hair is a little weird.
Yeah. And see that's another thing is like players that I grew up watching, no one's playing. You know what I mean? Like there's no Allen Iverson, there's no Kevin Garnett. There's like all these dudes I've never even heard of. You know what I mean? It's
funny, the game's so different. You know, I've noticed in coaching my son at basketball, the ripple effect. I know people have talked about this before, but like there's all these like 7 and 8 year olds jacking up like 30-foot 3-pointers. It's just changed so much. Whereas they used to be like all the kids wanted to dunk. Now they want to make 3-pointers from like 30 feet out.
Yeah, they were fucking show offs.
Going back, like even in sports, like the people who like they're trying to do a particular move or whatever, and the ball gets away from them, or they have to adjust to the defense. Like the people who can kind of like just kind of roll with it, those usually make for the most interesting, fun plays. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's why I love Ryan Fitzpatrick. Yeah, he plays football, and he's either great or he's terrible, and that's why I love him, because you never know when he's gonna be great, and even when he's terrible, you're still rooting for him. You know what I mean?
especially when he's terrible, probably.
Yeah, you're like, all right, keep throwing those picks so I could get more money on fantasy. I don't know. But no, one of the things I love about you is you have a dark sense of humor like me.
Mm-hmm.
Not a lot of people like the dark jokes.
It's funny. I've had like a dark sense of humor like as long as I can remember. I thought things were funny. Like I remember one of the first jokes I ever heard, which is it's kind of dark humor. It's kind of stupid too, but it was do you want to hear a dirty joke? And I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, yes, yeah, right. I was like 4. I was like, yes. And then someone said a white horse fell in the mud, and I laughed my ass off, and that was the funniest thing. And it's not really dark humor.
Funny because dirty. And
yeah, the literal.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I thought that was like, I thought that was the funniest thing I'd ever heard, because it was so ridiculous and over the top. And I feel like a lot of the dark humor that I laugh at now is ridiculous and over the top. And it's like saying the thing you're not supposed to say.
Yeah.
It just, it gets me.
I wish you were over at my house Saturday night where my grandparents were over, because I told this joke and it was like crickets. Like it was an awkward dinner.
What was the joke?
Okay, so just to give you a backstory. So my grandparents on my mom's side, they're like famous judges in Texas, like hardcore judges, And there's this judge who was assassinated maybe 30 years ago. And he was like a big judge. And the person who assassinated him was Woody Harrelson's father.
I've heard that story.
Yeah.
Wow.
So anyways, my grandparents had to be in protective custody because they witnessed the whole murder thing, right? So his name's Monroe, and so I'm telling the joke, I'm like, and he's going, like, this is all he talks about every time I see him. I think this is his only cool story, So he talks about, he's like, and I remember seeing John, and I'm holding him, and I'm like, John, hang in there, because like they were close or whatever. So he tells the whole story again. I was like, oh, did you ask Woody Harrelson for his autograph? Crickets.
See, you should have tagged it though. After it was crickets, you said, well, anyhow, cheers.
I was like, that's a cool story. Your best friend just got murdered and you asked Woody Harrelson for his autograph.
So that's why I've read this. I don't know if it's true, but that's why Oliver Stone cast Woody Harrelson in Natural Born Killers, because he knew he had that sort of dark history.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. Woody Harrelson, though, like, he's actually, how like there's some actors who are like, oh, they're just good actors, like Brad Pitt, I mean, he's a good actor, right? But he's not funny. Like, I don't think he could ever be funny. Like, even in Ocean's 12 or whatever, he wasn't the funny one. He was Woody Harrelson is a funny guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, give Brad Pitt, give him like a second chance. Well, two performances. See him in True Romance. Have you seen True Romance?
Brad Pitt?
Yeah.
He was in that? I thought that was Christian Slater.
It is Christian Slater. Brad Pitt has a little bit part as a stoner, and he's really funny. It's just he's in it for maybe 2 minutes total.
Oh, so that's why he was funny.
So that yeah. So that one, and then the Coen Brothers movie that he was in, Burn After Reading. He's pretty funny in that.
Oh.
It's not my favorite Coen Brothers movie, but he's funny in it. He's really funny. But
you're like a huge Coen Brothers fan, huh?
I do. I love the Coen Brothers. Yeah.
Yeah. Would you say Fargo is your favorite movie?
No, it's up there though. I would say if I was going to pick a favorite movie of the Coen Brothers, it'd probably be The Big Lebowski, just
Yeah.
because I've just watched it so many times. It's just so much fun.
Uh, do you think like script writing, like movies, like for example, I think like with the whole Me Too thing, do you think movies are definitely not going to be like the humor is obviously going to change where they won't make those movies? Like, I'll give you a good example. Something About Mary or Weekend at Bernie's. Those are movies that I feel can't get made today.
Probably not.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they, or if they do, if those kinds of premises get made, they'll just change it to account for the changing taste. I don't know that it'll be more funny or less funny. It'll just be different funny.
Yeah.
You know? And I think I've listened to a lot of comedians talk about that on podcasts about like the Me Too movement and like just the general culture that we're in. And I feel like the comedians who are really solid comics will just adjust and make it work.
Yeah. I mean, hopefully I never get Me Too'd, but also I don't think I'll ever be that person who does something Me Too-able. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we generally assume that it's
Yeah.
not a place that anyone should go. Like it's, you know, I forget who said this. I like just the thought that it's like, it's so easy to not be an asshole.
Yeah. But it's very easy to be an asshole.
It's way easy to be an asshole. Yeah.
Yeah. Like one of my best friends is Andy Dick.
It's both. Yeah. It's easy to be an asshole, but it's really easy to not be an asshole too. Okay. I'm sorry. Andy Dick.
Well, I was going to say, one of my best friends is Andy Dick, and I was listening to a podcast he did like maybe a year ago, and he got Me Too'd, right? And they asked him about it, and he literally says, I don't know why anyone cares. I mean, they shouldn't Me Too me. But he said it like because he knows what he does, you know what I mean? But he's whatever. I don't know. I just thought it was funny. You have to listen to it because he said it in his Andy Dick type of way. You know what I mean?
With his delivery. That's what's I think difficult for like a lot of people. And again, if I'm doing anything with comedy, I'm usually just doing script writing, and I'm getting paid to work on scripts to just make them funnier or whatever. I don't do like live stand-up, but like one of the difficulties is for like stand-ups like you have to deal with is just like context, right? And
Yeah.
it's so easy to take something you say out of context and to misinterpret like irony and misinterpret you know what I mean, the tone, which makes it really difficult.
Especially on Twitter, because things could like get misread, even though you said what you said. You know what I mean? Like if you misread it in a different tone. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. So one of the things I do for like as a writer, like to just pay the bills, is I get hired to write like a lot of like corporate scripts for executives. They're going to go do a presentation or whatever, and so I'll get paid to like I'll get hired to like dress up the language or smooth it out. What I've learned is how many people are like wildly successful, and for good reason. Like they bring a lot to the table, whatever, but they're like functionally illiterate, meaning they'll read something or write something and it's like they have no idea. I would have no idea how to interpret the tone. So it tells me that they clearly have no idea. So I got a lot of people seem like they're struggling with getting words in the right order and understanding them in the order in terms of how it communicates emotion, how it communicates actual ideas. So when Twitter, it's totally unchecked, I mean, you put something out there, my God, it's going to get read. You know, you write 6 words that are going to get read 1,000 different ways from 1,000 different people.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, I mean, I agree, but then I also disagree. And I think that makes me hypocritical. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I feel bad for the victims, but also I feel that jokes should really be tolerated as tools to make people laugh and not to offend.
I mean, when it comes to comedy and comedians, and I'm not a comedian, but I feel like
you should be.
I feel like well, I'll take that as a compliment. I feel like comedians should be protected above all else. Like I think that what comedians do as a public service is just it's one of my favorite things on the planet. I mean, you said comedy's better than sex. I mean, I'm not going to go with you on that, but I mean, it's pretty close.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you are married, so you know, like I'm. Yeah. But
No, but for reals, like I feel like the people who write comedy and who are pushing those boundaries and getting us to think and emote at the same time in a positive way. I mean, it's about the one of the more honorable things you can do. Even if you are writing like filthy comedy and dirty comedy, like there's something there's something about it to me that just has so much integrity. You're trying to connect with people on that like very profound emotional level. I think it's amazing.
now you said you don't do comedy, but that's not true because you used to write for stand-up comedians.
Briefly, very briefly, but yeah, I did that. I had a manager at the time who had some actors who were doing stand-up comedy, and they weren't the strongest writers, so they brought me in to help write jokes.
Yeah.
And like most of those jokes,
did you ruin their act or make them better?
I think I made them much better. However, it was at a different time, so like I won't even like share any of the jokes because I'm pretty sure they were like the kind of jokes that would get me into trouble today.
Yeah. My manager used to manage Ron Jeremy, and the guy's like kind of like I've never really liked Ron Jeremy, and I got forced to interview him by my manager, but that's a different story. Anyways, he's like, "Hey, you should write Ron Jeremy some jokes," and I was like, "I don't think I will."
Was he doing stand-up?
Well, I don't know, but he's in jail right now for like 40 rapes.
Oh God.
Yeah, like.
Well, that was a wise move on your part, apparently.
Well, yeah, and you know what's funny is right when he got arrested, my manager dropped him, and I was like, "Oh, you probably should have done that a year ago." You know what I mean? Like, you kind of know when something's gonna, especially if it's Ron Jeremy, you kind of know something's gonna
not gonna go well.
Yeah.
Yeah. The one thing I will share about the time, there was one, I was writing for a woman, a female comic, and she was going to do a set at a black club, and she was Jewish. She was going to do a set at a black club, and she wanted to write a joke. It was like a joke making fun of Mexican people. So we threw some jokes together, and they weren't mean spirited. They were fun. They were light, but they were like, you know. But the funniest part to me about that was they had a white guy writing a joke for a Jewish girl about Mexican people to say in a black club. Like that was that was the funniest part about the whole situation.
Yeah, and
sort of ridiculous.
The funnier part is she got booed off stage, right?
No, she did. She did all right. Later on, I'll tell you one of the jokes I wrote for her, which you like.
Oh yeah, definitely. Norma, I have two more questions for you. As a teacher, and I don't want to say where you teach because, you know, I don't want stalkers for me, not so much for you. But has there ever been a student who you thought, wow, this person has major potential, and has a student ever sold a script that you know about?
Yeah, I've had students sell projects. And there's a lot of students I've had that have major potential for sure. And then conversely, there's some, and this is where I'll admit my own ignorance too. There's some where I've had the thought like that this person's wasting their time, and then they go on and do like amazing things. So like I've felt both sides of that coin. Like that person's going to be great and nothing happens, and vice versa. That person's not going to go anywhere and they do really well. So it's like, to me, that's a good lesson in that, like, you never know, like it can really, really happen for anybody. Anybody can sharpen what they're doing and make it really, really great. And people who have crazy talent sometimes just don't get the breaks. Like that's a funny thing about like
me.
You're really young yet. I wouldn't worry about you.
No,
I'm
not that young, man.
How old are you?
33.
Oh, you're a baby.
Oh,
you're a baby.
That makes me feel better.
Baby
with a beard.
You know how old I am, right?
Yeah. No.
You have any guesses?
I was gonna say 52, but then like
fuck you. You were
but I thought maybe that's not the best. Because I tried to guess with my age in mind. You know what I mean? Like, okay, if I'm 33, you're not that much older than.
I'm 42, so I got 10 years on you, but like a lot happens in that 10 years for sure.
Yeah. How old were you when you got your first, like your first, I wouldn't say big break, but like break as in you knew that you would survive in this business?
I mean, I still haven't gotten a big break. I mean, I'm pretty successful at paying the bills with creative work, but it's not creative work for Hollywood. Certainly. Right. It's like I write, like I grind it out writing commercials, writing like joke punches on things, doing cleanup work, like a lot of uncredited stuff. And that kind of pays the bills for me to pursue things like the podcast I'm working on or any other creative projects. So like, in that regards, like, even though I'm not making all the millions in Hollywood, I'm very proud of the fact that like, I'm a creative who's grinding it out and making a living and supporting my family. But to answer your question more specifically, when I was in my late 30s, I had a project that was a big project for me that opened some doors and got me into some meetings that I wouldn't have otherwise had, which was great.
Well, if I ever like become a huge star or whatever, I'll say, you know what? I want Norm Leonard to write the script. I'll be like, I'll pull an Adam Sandler. I'll be like, you get him or I'm walking.
That sounds good. Sign me up. You know what? Adam Sandler, from all the stories that I've heard, and this is just, again, listening to stuff on podcasts, he's a really great dude.
Yeah. Did you hear what happened to him at IHOP?
I did, yeah.
That's the pissest he's ever been.
He seemed like he handled it pretty well.
Yeah, he just laughed. He's like, all right, I'll go to Denny's.
He's a great sense of humor.
No, you know what's weird about Sandler is I love him, don't get me wrong, but he's one of Norm's best friends. And the thing is, like, because Norm got Bob Saget on Reza Riffs, and I don't feel comfortable asking for favors, you know? And so, like, I always expected, like, Norm would always think I would ask him to get Sandler. But the thing is, I'm not too interested in Sandler to want Sandler. Like, I don't need Sandler. You know, does that make sense?
Sure. I mean, yeah, do your thing. I would also, don't be afraid to ask favors. I think people enjoy when they can help people out, especially if they're people they care about. You know, it's not like you have a relationship with him. It's not like you're using him or, you know, taking advantage of him, right?
Yeah. But I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, like, that's not, Sandler's not a name. Like, it'd be cool if I got him, but he's not like, I guess, what am I trying to say? He's not like John Cusack, you know what I mean? Like, I would lose my shit if I got John Cusack.
Oh, because John Cusack's like your guy. He's like your.
Yeah. I met John Cusack. Did I tell you that?
Where?
He performed at the Fox Theater in Riverside.
What was he performing?
See, here's what this is how John Cusack's so cool. What he does is he goes to theaters, right? And he sells out. The Fox Theater in Riverside is like 7,000 people. Mm-hmm. So he sold that out, right? And what he does, tickets were $45. What he does is he plays one of his movies. So you pay $45 to see a movie you've probably already seen. And then after the movie, he comes out and he does a Q&A.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So it's genius. You make money and, you know, you don't really have to give the studio money because you could say, hey, you know, whatever. And then he does a Q&A. So I tweeted all my Q&As, like, on the Twitter thing. And like, I could hear him under his breath because he's like mic'd. He's like, this Keith Reza has a lot of questions. So then I asked him to do my podcast in front of everybody, like, put him on the spot. And, like, he's not going to say no in front of 7,000 people, right?
I don't know. Did he?
So he says yes. And I was like, holy Lord, I thought it was the coolest thing ever. So then he said, after the show, come tell the VIP, like, he said this in front of everyone. He's like, I said to come meet me. So I was like, oh my God, this is cool. So I met him. I took a photo. I was like, so about the podcast. He's like, I'll give you my assistant's number. So he gave me the assistant's number. The assistant never fucking picks up. Never. So, but the thing is, like, that was such a cool moment for me that I believe in my heart someday I will interview him, even though, like, my dad says I'll never interview him.
Why did your dad say that?
Because he's a soul crusher. He said that after I told that Woody Harrelson joke.
I like how you turned that around. Nicely played.
Yeah.
My favorite John Cusack movie is
High Fidelity.
I said High Fidelity, but actually I retract. Stand By Me is my favorite John Cusack movie.
Oh, because he died?
No, just because that movie is amazing.
Yeah. That was a great movie.
Yeah.
You know who I thought was cool in that movie was Kiefer Sutherland.
Yeah.
You know? He's the one guy who, like, I've heard is, like, a huge jerk, though.
Really?
Yeah. But, like, all right. So 2 more questions just because I want to respect your time. You got kids and all that stuff.
Sure.
Who's the coolest celebrity you've worked with on a project?
Coolest celebrity I've worked with?
That you actually met and, you know, because I know you worked with J.K. Simmons, but I don't know if you met him.
Yeah, I did. I got to work with him in the booth because I wrote the voiceover for that documentary that he did. I mean, it would have to be him. He was just friendly and cool and easy. And there was, you know, we were only with him for one day, but I remember he, like sometimes we'd have to have him pick up a line because it wasn't working for whatever reason. Like it didn't fall within our time frame of our cut or whatever. And so we'd ask him to do it again. And he was always really cool about doing it. And when he would nail it, the director would go cut, and then he would go, bitch, like, which is a little, you know, like he just pimp slapped the line or something, which was really funny. But he was very gracious and like humble and just a cool guy. Yeah, he was easy.
He's also like a good success story about someone who's made it while they're old. You know what I mean? Because when he was younger, he wasn't.
Yeah, well, I think he was in a lot of, like, he was one of those guys where you've seen him in a bunch of stuff, but like he got his like you know, I think his Academy Award when he was older, and now he's huge, right? He's in everything.
Spider-Man really changed his life, I feel.
Yeah. Working for the Daily Planet.
Yeah, because he was in this movie called The Ref with Dennis Leary, and he played
I love The Ref. That's one of my favorite.
Oh yeah,
so funny.
We were having Dennis Leary, man. That guy, like, he was hilarious.
Oh, that line from that movie. You know what this family needs? A mute. That was great. Yeah, Dennis Leary's good stuff.
Are you okay? I lied. 2 more questions. Are you an Ozark fan?
You know, I like the first season, but there's something. So I watch a lot of, you know, when we watch TV, I'm watching it with my wife usually, and so we have to kind of, you know, we have to agree on what we're watching. And they have like a filter on the lens, and there's like this greenish hue to Ozark. There was another show that was similar. I think it was Bloodline, where the filter on the camera is like bluish green, and my wife hates it, so she won't watch it. Like it bugs her. But I know about Ozark. Sorry, that was long-winded.
I was gonna say Ozark has a lot of good dark jokes that I love.
Does it? I'll have to make a point to watch it then.
Season 1, I could just tell you because I watched it with my grandfather, and his wife's having an affair, and like the lady or the guy she's having an affair with, he gets thrown off the concrete from his building by the cartel. And then like 4 episodes later, Jason Bateman says, in fact, the only thing that puts me to sleep at night is the sound of your dead lover hitting the
you know what you'd like, I think, if speaking of dark comedy, have you seen What We Do in the Shadows, the TV show?
No, but I've heard I should watch that.
Definitely. It's funny. It's really funny. Yeah. Particularly for dark comedy. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
Oh, and also The Great. Have you watched The Great?
No.
It's different. It's like a historical, it's about I think I'm getting this right, Catherine the Great. And at first my wife was like, let's watch this period drama. And I was like, this looks lame. and then I watched like 10 minutes in. It's some of the darkest, most wicked comedy I've ever seen.
Oh, really? Nice.
It's really good. Yeah, check it out. The Great. Yeah.
Did you see the new? You're not a Saw fan, though, huh?
Yeah, I like the first and second ones.
Well, there's one with Chris Rock now. I saw that. That was pretty cool.
Was it good? I know he helped write it or produce it.
Yeah. And I listened to a podcast with Samuel L. Jackson, and he said he only did it because he wanted to die in a Saw film. Like, spoilers alert, he dies. But sorry, we might have to edit that out. But okay, my last question for you, Norm, is what is the best memory you have in your life that made you feel like a great artist?
I don't know if it's as big as to say a great artist, but I wrote a book for my kids. Well, before that, I told myself that I wanted to write a book for my kids, and I wanted to like read it to them in front of their class.
Holy Lord, was that fun?
Well, I had that thought like years before it happened, and then I wrote a book about a firefly that couldn't light up his butt. It's a children's book, and I read it in front of my class, or in front of my kids' class, both their classes, and that was a pretty big moment. Just in so much as like, one, it was cool. My kids got to see their dad read a book that he wrote to all their friends. But it was also like something that I'd put in my head and like saw all the way to fruition, which was cool. Like in terms of just like being a creative person, like having an idea and taking it, not just like finishing the book, but like getting it published and then performing it for kids. They got a kick out of it. It was great.
Well, Norm, where can the folks at home follow you if you want to be followed, or support you if you want to be supported?
Cobblersgulch.com is our website, and we're on all the major podcast platforms, Apple, Spotify, etc. We're doing really well. We've got over 120 reviews on Apple Podcasts, which is pretty solid.
Yeah, that's great. I only have like 92.
Yeah, we're trying to rack up more, get a little bit more momentum going. But if you like adventure and fantasy, or if you have kids who love adventure and fantasy, they will absolutely dig it. It's fun for adults and kids to listen to together, particularly, and it's super snackable. Like they're just little 10-minute episodes. Cobblers.
I think the longest one is like 17 minutes, so it's like short and sweet.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So it's good for like short attention spans.
It's like the Wizard of Oz meets a series of unfortunate events meets Hocus Pocus meets. I'm just naming kids things now.
You nailed them all. Yeah, those are great.
All right.
Yeah, meets the Saw movies.
Meets the Saw movies. All right. All right, Norm. It was. Thanks so much for doing it, man. This was a fun chat, and I know you've been doing a lot of podcasts now, but I hope you enjoyed Reza Riffs, man.
Yeah, this was great. This was so much fun. Thanks for having me, Keith.
All right, buddy.
Yeah, let's call
It'll be out next week, and I'll tag you like crazy for a week.
Cool. That sounds good, man. So good to see you.
See you, Norm.
All right, take care.
All right, guys. All right, that was the show. Subscribe, rate, review, tell a friend, and we'll see you guys next week. Bye.
You're listening to Reza Riffs with Keith Reza and Alan Lee, right here on LA Talk Radio.